Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Cancer energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Cancer energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Cancer energy. It can kind of represent different people in the world, but it can also... The top row could represent some things we'd like to be doing in our life or we are trying to do in our life. The bottom row could represent what we had been doing. It can represent our fears and our insecurities, some things we were doing. But we have this dualistic nature in a world of free will. We kind of have our more worldly nature of Cancer energy. We have our more high vibe nature of Cancer energy. And only one can be in the driver's seat of our life at any given moment. And we might have to have more hope and faith and belief in ourselves, if we're going to keep moving forward, kind of not repeating old patterns, because we'll all kind of repeat old patterns until we get tired of it, kind of. And it's like, and we decide once and for all, that's it. I am stopping this habit, this vice, these relationships or jobs, and or we heal or we grow or something, right? But there could be some people in the world that are debating within themselves. Other people have finished the debate. Some are moving forward differently. Some aren't. Some people have no interest in moving forward any differently. We all have different comfort zones and motivations and aspirations, and everybody has the free will to live their life the way they want. High vibe energy is being more independent, not letting your more worldly nature manipulate you, which can be your immature, lazy, prideful, lustful, greedy nature kind of run your life. Tempering your ego, growing up, emotionally maturing yourself. And, some people don't have an interest in doing that. So they kind of do indulge themselves at whatever level of emotional maturity they are, or keep indulging whatever a vice could be that they have. So let's go see what's going on. The reason for the bottom rose reading is the Four of Cups, which is Cancer energy. Which is kind of like, are we going to take that cup of higher love or not? And we also can be sad about some relationships in our life that didn't work out the way we wanted. And it can take time to love ourselves, to kind of work through all those fears and insecurities about moving forward in life differently. And again, we could know some people that are in that energy. We could be moving on to a degree. We could be in that energy working through some of those issues as we're trying to move forward, because we all have fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs and some past pain and heartbreak. Some people have kind of worked on them piecemeal throughout their life. Other people maybe never have worked through those issues, right? So, and some people will never take that cup of higher love. And that can be where people in their free will decide, I'm not doing love. I get hurt doing love. In my Cancer energy, I get hurt doing love. So I've decided, out of love for myself, I am making my life more about my self-protective, egoic nature, or making my life about indulging these things, or making my life about looking and enjoying life, putting work into my career or something, And some people don't want to do love, and we need to accept the truth of that. The reason for the top rose reading is the Queen of Wands and the Ten of Swords. So the tens can talk about completing a cycle, and that means we have to work through, these dreams that we had, and our defensiveness, and our ego, and our fears, and high vibe energy out of high vibe Leo energy. Shadowy Leo can be us being in our ego. We offer love and compassion to ourselves and all those fears and insecurities we have. And also being willing to deal with the truth. There are some people, they could have moved on. People could have passed away. People aren't in friendship or relationship with us anymore. Some of them didn't work out. And we offer love and compassion and truth and love to all those things so that we can complete that cycle and kind of made peace with it, that I let it go. I'm not going to let it kind of keep manipulating me, and I'm not going to stay. And I do view high vibe Leo as giving ourselves those things that we wish other people would have given us. And also, learning to be like our own best mother, father, coach voice within ourselves, learning to love ourselves. And, that isn't easy. We can spend many decades of our life, because otherwise we can kind of stay in more codependent energy, and we're looking for other people to love us. So shadowy energy can be where you're looking outside of yourself to the world for something to be the answer. Like you can look to drugs or food or alcohol or relationships. And just like you can look to other people to love you, do we all, as part of a human being, want to be in friendship and relationship with people? Yes. But if we learn to love ourselves and act in ways that we know our worth and value, and we're proud of ourselves, and we get inspired within ourselves again, like being a good mother, father, coach voice to ourselves, we can close out being more codependent on other people and being sad and all that, because we start to put our time, energy, and effort into looking to what can be, instead of this can be more focused on what isn't. So let's go look at the bottom row. We have, this is a new deck to me, so I'm not familiar with them either, and this way you can see them. The Three of Pentacles, the Strength card, the High Priestess, the Four of Wands, and the Lover's card. So kind of in between these is the Leo Strength card. There could have been people in the Three of Pentacles. That can be people that we were working with. That's Capricorn energy. Working together with people cooperatively. In the Strength card, where it could have seemed where everybody was kind of tempering their ego and willing to work together and seemed to be motivated and inspired to work together. But the High Priestess can talk about, in Cancer and Pisces energy, that the High Priestess can talk about kind of things that are hidden, that we don't really know, and everybody has their own dreams and aspirations. And sometimes in a more shadowy Pisces, Cancer, both two water signs. Cancer can be about what we love. Sometimes we get in relationships with people, and what they love is maybe working together with people in relationships, but maybe a little bit more about them. In High Vibe, the High Priestess is about listening to your intuition, and maybe some people don't want to do that, and they don't want other people in their life to do that. It's like, let's stay doing this. Let's none of us listen to our intuition. Let's not, because Pisces is about our intuition and kind of more offering our self-love to face our fears, to temper our ego, to keep moving forward out of love for ourselves, to keep growing and maturing ourselves. And sometimes we can get in relationships with people and they're like, let's just keep doing this forever. And this is my, but everybody has their way of wanting to live life. But in a way, it can be like being 21 and you meet people and you're 21 and then people want to live their life like that forever. And other people in their Cancer Pisces energy might have been like, well, I had more of a dream than just that, But other people could be more fearful of listening to their intuition. And so, instead of tempering their ego and their fears, they might like to also maybe more about the world, because the Three of Pentacles is Capricorn energy, Earth sign energy. And all of us, probably for the first 30, 50 years of our life, are really pretty caught up in the world. There's these things we want to go indulge in and invest our time, energy, and effort into, and our ego, and our image, and our career. And some people stay more, Leo is fire sign energy. And so in their fire sign energy, anyone within themselves in their fire sign energy, there's a lot of people who never get out of making their life more about the world. The high priestess can be about listening to your intuition that there's more to life than just making your life about the world, and that's where you derive your sense of worth and value and make your life all about. It's about listening to your intuition. And the Four of Wands is Aries energy, which is also fire sign energy. But Leo is fixed sign energy, and Aries is cardinal sign energy that starts new things. Cancer is also cardinal sign energy that starts new things. We can get into things, like we turn 21, we get a job, we get in friendships and relationships. But Pisces is a mutable sign. It helps us transition out of phases of life. And to keep having that more hopeful, believing nature that the journey's not done yet. Life keeps going. Are there these phases of life that we like? Yes. Do we have people in our life that we like? Yes. We would probably communicate with them that we want to move forward with them. We just kind of like to keep being inspired to shadowy energy can be where it kind of seems to be where you're never giving birth to anything new. It kind of stays dead and stagnant after a while. Just like if you kept living your life like a 21-year-old all your life, it's like, why don't I ever do anything different? you know? Uh, and it could be our fear, because in shadowy Leo, it can be that maybe we don't believe in ourself. Aries energy of the Four of Wands is about the self. It could be fear that if I step out of my comfort zone, I don't know if it'll be victorious and successful. So I just want to keep doing this. But, other people, their intuition is what the high priestess talks about. Some people kind of realize I could keep repeating this pattern more because of those fears and those insecurities. And then they know they're kind of hiding from the truth. And that also is what shadowy energy can be about. I want to stay in denial of the truth. I don't want to see the truth. And other people don't like having those things manipulate them. And they know it manipulates them. And they know that they want to keep kind of facing their fears and loving and believing in themselves to kind of grow to their full potential out of love for themselves, And then the Lover's card is also Gemini energy, about our dualistic free will nature. And the truth is, sometimes we can have love for people, whether they're our adult child, brother, sister, mom, dad, long-term friend, romantic interest. And we could harness our Gemini energy differently, like at a core foundational level of our dualistic nature. Some people are more about making their life about the world. And maybe if there's a certain phase of life or a way that they envision living their life, they never plan to kind of shadowy energy too can be more about conforming to the world. It is all about the world because, again, Capricorn can talk about what we view as victorious and successful in the world. And shadowy Leo is that we just operate more from our worldly egoic nature. It's more about these things of the world, or more about me, or the money, or the status, or me indulging me, or, me being indulged, me indulging other people in order to have those things of the world. And, just like people can have an addiction, other people, maybe those things don't manipulate them that much. They can enjoy them and kind of do it in a more balanced way. High vibe energy is about being more balanced. Not that all of us can have driven our life into the ditch in some ways, in different ways. But some people, shadowy energy could also be Gemini in our dualistic nature of self, which is about our truth and what we love and what we want to manifest, is air sign energy. Some people like to live more from their mind than their heart. Other people could be more balanced, where it's like, yeah, I want these things of the world too, but I also want to be connected in with my emotions and my intuition and, let love guide me more than, and I'm not as in love with being about myself or my ego or my image or indulging in these things or making these things so important in my life that I sacrifice love, and in a world of duality and free will, you have to make choices. And the truth is, some people, they chose, I don't choose that. I don't want to be more balanced. I don't want to maybe do love. I like to maybe be more about myself, more about the world, these things I want to indulge in, living more from my mind than my heart. And other people kind of listen to their intuition and are maybe more inspired in their view of what they love that they want a more balanced relationship and they're not willing to sacrifice their more loving nature, their more intuitive nature, their more creative, inspired nature, just not as driven by those things. So the other people in the Queen of Wands, which is Leo, they kind of get inspired to work through their own fears and insecurities because, again, we could have jobs, friendships, and relationships with people in our life that we have love for, but we can all like to live our life different ways. And we could love them, but maybe with some of them, we don't think they're really very loving. And a shadowy Four of Cups or shadowy Cancer energy can be where we feel like people try to emotionally manipulate us in our loving nature. The fact that the Three of Pentacles can talk about that we want to work together with people or we're attracted to them or something. And some people are like, that's great. You should work together with me. But you should never be inspired like within yourself to love yourself enough to make your life about more than being in a friendship or relationship with me or making your job your primary focus in your life, or I could be just your family member, but you shouldn't love yourself enough to not let me manipulate you. Shadowy Aries, I kind of want to be the boss of you. And, at the big picture, shadowy energy is kind of represented by the devil or shadow nature. High vibe energy at the big picture kind of represented by God. And there's some people in the world that are quite shadowy and could be quite full of themselves. And they do want to be like God in your life. You are not supposed to love and believe in yourself. You are supposed to work with them. And if they tell you, yes, you can do that, or no, you can't do that, you're not supposed to do it. You don't listen to your own intuition. You are not inspired to love yourself more than you love them. Well, love is to be just and fair. You're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. But everybody can have their idea of what they think is just and fair. And that's like their truth. Well, we get in job, friendships, and relationships with people who we think are kind of shadowy, though we might like them, might like the job, might like some of the people. If people haven't learned these lessons about that love is supposed to be just and fair, and you're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated, and it isn't to try to dominate and control, as like shadowy Leo, shadowy Aries. You're not supposed to try to manipulate people because you know that they love you to get what you want. That's not just and fair. And some people could even know they are not inspired by love, but they want to be in relationships with people. So shadowy energy can be where people just wear a false mask. I'm a just and fair and loving person. I'm not prideful. I'm not more about myself. I'm not immature. I'm not more materialistically motivated. And then, you got to go on a journey of a relationship with them until you realize, yeah, I don't think it's love that really drives and motivates you, or your idea of love and kind of what you think is just and fair is different than my idea. And so as we go through some journeys of relationship with some people, we might decide not to keep emotionally investing in some people and places in our life we can have love for people and keep our distance from them. Just like we can have family members or relatives. Do I wish them the best? Do I love them? Sure. Do I want to hang out with them more? No. Because again, it could tend to get kind of shadowy. Why do I want to hang out with people who I think could be more full of themselves, more bossy, more controlling, more manipulative, immature, unjust, unfair, not very loving? No. I can wish them peace and love and let them live their life the way they want, and I'm going to go live my life. So, we have to temper our ego in our Leo energy about that some relationships just aren't going to move forward the way we would have wanted. And the thing is, we're dealing with other people who have their own free will and they have their life, and we can't make people work with us more cooperatively in a more just and fair way. And for some people, they don't want to. you know if they wanted to be in more high vibrational energy of high vibe Gemini and Cancer and Aries and Pisces, and had maybe more hope and faith and belief and love, kind of, had a more high vibrational perspective about it, they would be more just and fair. They would treat other people the way they like to be treated, but some people, they don't want to even be in those kind of, spend more time with people who are like that than they have to, because again, they could like being in relationships with people who just kind of make it all about them and indulge them. If they want to be lazy, they want to be lazy. If they want to be bossy and controlling, they want to be bossy and controlling. If they want to be just all about themselves, they want to be all about themselves. So we wish them peace and we move on. Oh, see if I can turn that off. Okay, let's go look at the top row. We have the Two of Swords, which is listening to your intuition and Libra energy, getting balance within yourself. I view Libra, it's represented by the scales of justice and also the King of Swords, that I want justice and fairness. And this is imbalance. This isn't just and fair. So I need to listen to my intuition, maintain balance within myself, and then in the Eight of Wands, move forward listening to my intuition and being inspired in my Leo energy to close out these type of relationships in my life. See the truth of it. The truth sets us free. Again, I don't want to go back into, can I still have people in my life that I work with, like, again, example, you have family members that you aren't really on the same page with. I can accept the truth that they want to live their life or act the way they act. I don't want to kind of get into the same relationship dynamic of kind of some of the games that were played and the way it was. I want to close out that chapter, and I really don't want to be in relationships with any other people where it's like that. And so you get inspired also. Sagittarius is about higher learning and education. Trap your brain around this game of life. And then we have the King of Wands, which is Aries energy. From the Eight of Wands down to the One Wand is letting go of the Seven of Wands, which can be our defensiveness in our Leo energy. Again, there was people in our life that we wanted to have move forward with us, and we kind of could have been defensive of kind of moving forward without them, because we had a dream of them being part of our life, right? And more involved in our life, maybe. But if that's not where everyone is at this point in time, and they want to go do this, or, and sometimes we can be at different stages of life, different ages of life with some people. Sometimes we were kind of on the same page, and then kind of what we're inspired by and who and what and the things that we want to go invest our time, energy, and effort into is different. So we work through getting out of our ego about it, accepting the truth. They view life and want to live life and treat people the way they want to live it and do and treat. And I have my truth. And they can move forward in their truth, and I'm going to move forward in my truth, and I'm not going to be up in my ego about it. And that's Ace of Swords. Again, the truth sets us free. I am inspired by my truth. They're inspired by their truth. And then in the Sun of Leo energy, kind of being illuminated to the truth. When we get out of our ego about it, you know, we can be sad and we can be upset. But trying to not take it personally, you know, if you know some people who are more, say, shadowy Leo can be, and anyone in their Leo energy could just be more, and shadowy energy at large, just more caught up in themselves. You know, and they're going to go on a journey with some other people, and if they can find people that are willing to make it more all about them and indulge them, then they're probably going to want to hang out more with those people. When they're around people who are kind of more balanced, more authentic and loving and encouraging, they might not like being around you and want to invest in you because you kind of highlight kind of what they're not. And if we keep hanging around people, say if we were more immature, we're going to hang around more immature people. And if more mature people come around, even though they can be nice and friendly and kind, it kind of does illuminate that, wow, they're much more bold and brave or mature than we are. And we would like them to go away. Because then we can live in denial that we're more immature, you know? And, you know, we can have other people in our life that don't want to be around people who might be more just and fair. Because shadowy people can like to view themselves just like high vibe people. I'm more just and fair and stable and grounded and mature. And yeah, in there, just like all of us, when we were 15, 18, 21, 25 in the group we hung around with, we probably thought we were really mature. And then people that were like 3 to 5 years older with us was like, yep, there they are at that stage of life. You know, and then if when we were at some of those stages of life when we were around other people, we would have probably conducted ourselves, tried to maintain a little more maturity. But do we really want to do that when that's not really the truth of who we are? No, we wanted to do it what we were like, right? So it's the same kind of principle. So the thing is, you know, try not to take it personally. It can be hard if it was a long-term friendship or a family member that you used to hang around with a lot or a romantic interest. Because at one time, we were on the same page. But up here, kind of, you know, in between is the Aries energy, which again is about the self. We can move forward with people in a relationship, but then it could get to that point. Are we willing to? High vibe Aries is like growing and maturing yourself to become the emperor, where male or female, you are more motivated and inspired by truth and love, and you are willing to take those people that you love when they would be affected by the decisions that you make, take them into account because you love them. And some people, it could be like, no. And, you know, the Eight of Wands and Shadow can be that people are still kind of immature. They might want to stay in denial of the truth, but still might want to make their life about themselves or whatever else, or just kind of be an immature player, whether they're male or female, and aren't ready to be in a more serious relationship, regardless of how old they are. For others, it might require them to kind of quit operating from their more egoic nature, which can be their more defensive nature, and come out from behind their ego to be willing to do love and be more authentic. And there's going to be some people in the world that are never going to do that. You can get hurt doing love, and some people will get in relationships and enjoy the relationship and move forward in the relationship until there's kind of that part of them that's like, oh my gosh, I could start to think that I could love this person. And then that's like, boom, the Ten of Swords. I gotta get out of here. This is entering the danger zone. No. And people will sacrifice even loving people in their life, because that is, I kind of view the devil that way. Like, if someone's more about the world and they're around people who are more about justice and fairness and love, and they could view those people like the devil, because the devil, I view it as like, it challenges your belief system. And people who are more motivated by truth and love and justice and fairness could view shadowy people as like the devil, right? Because it kind of is an opposition and challenges their belief system and philosophy of life. And sometimes we get in these more mismatched relationships, and sometimes some people, maybe we had to learn to listen to our intuition. Maybe there were things about it, but we wanted to kind of stay in denial of the truth because we wanted to move forward in it. Again, we wanted that job. We were attracted to that person. We wanted to manifest something, in our life. And sometimes we didn't listen to our intuition, and we could have hoped that everything would work out, even though we could have known that we were in a more mismatched relationship. And people can stay in those jobs, friendships, and relationships for a really long time. But again, if you harness your fire sign energy differently and your Gemini energy differently, your truth is different. And high vibe people kind of keep being inspired to work through things and not be manipulated, to keep kind of loving and growing and maturing themselves, and want relationships to grow and mature over time, to be a more deep, meaningful relationship. And the other people just want it to kind of keep moving forward the way it is. Let's never do anything different. But eventually the other people could feel like they're missing out on love, or they're not living life and accomplishing their own dreams and aspirations. And if you communicate with people and it seems like there's no resolution and can't come to a compromise, then some of those relationships end. Some of you might be working with someone right now that you could like and be attracted to, one or the other. You might get along okay, and you might be able to move forward, but you might know there'll be nothing more that comes of it if it's that you like them or attracted to them. For other people, you could be like in relationship or friendship with people, and you help each other work through your fears and insecurities together and offer love and encouragement to each other to overcome some of your fears and insecurities. And with some of those people, you keep moving forward. But the high vibe people are completing a cycle. They went through some phase of life, and it could have been just accepting this truth that some of the people in our life, they maybe are more immature, have these ways of viewing relationships that they kind of think are just and fair. And we might think they need to go on a journey with some other people in the world and maybe learn some hard knocks in life, because we might think they're a little stubborn or got some issues they don't want to see the truth of. And if you've already tried to be like loving and encouraging and kind of trying to show them how some of these things don't really seem to work out that well, for you and you don't believe for others. And if they keep wanting to stay in denial of the truth, eventually it can be like, if things, you don't want to keep moving forward the way things are. And so it's kind of like, you might have to go invest in some other people because I might feel like you don't want to see the truth. And as long as you don't want to see the truth, I'm not inspired to keep staying in this. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Cancer energy that they might not see coming? You might have, as you're moving forward, you might have, if you closed out something, a friendship, a relationship, or a job, you might have moved forward in something new with people who you think are more just or fair or authentic or loving or encouraging. And with those people, then it's kind of closing out some cycle with some other people to have this new beginning. You might have just communicated with some people how you're moving forward, and just as you're interacting with people and kind of seeing who still might be at different stages of the ways that they view life, and seeing who you want to kind of keep more, investing more time and energy and effort into, and who you don't. What's coming up for the high vibe people they don't see coming? The Six of Cups, the Chariot, the Four of Cups. Why? Because of the King of Cups. So the Chariot and the King of Cups and the Four of Cups, I'll view those as Cancer energy. Because you took action in love, and because you wanted to work together with people, the Sixes can talk about balance. You wanted to have equal give and take in a relationship. And you did kind of listen to your intuition and were inspired to kind of deal with the truth and get to the truth because you want to move forward in a more emotionally balanced, people taking action from love. And the Chariot can talk about victory because you were inspired by love, and probably also the Six of Cups, you reconciled yourself with some issues within yourself and maybe from your past and made peace with the past. It helped you have victory over people in your life who weren't very loving. And all of this might have been the situation that made you have to learn to love yourself. Maybe you could have been in more codependent energy, or indulging shadowy energy can be where we're kind of indulging poor behavior in ourselves and others. And if you're a very loving person, it can be really hard to want to see the truth about some people in our life, and we love them, so we want it to work out, and you'll put a lot of work and effort to try to make it work out. And then other people also become spoiled, and it's like, I like how much work and effort you put in to make this work out and be loving and encouraging and supportive. And then people can kind of become spoiled, and it's almost like, I do deserve for people to treat me this way. And then it's almost like you do it because of who they are, like as if it's something about them that makes you do that. It's like, well, it might be because you're my child or my brother or my sister or my mom or dad or my long-term friend, So I value the relationship, but it isn't intrinsically just, something magical about you. I have free will too, and I make these free will decisions in my life. I am giving and trying to work together with you in a just and fair and balanced way because I want to. But some people can get kind of full of themselves and think it's just them. And then they might think, damn, maybe I should take my show on the road. And maybe all sorts of people would want to treat me like you do. I could have my pick. Maybe I could find someone who's more attentive, or maybe have more status or image or more something. It's like, you go ahead and do that. And I'm going to move forward in my truth. And I think some of the people who got kind of full of themselves could have went and gotten in some relationships with some other people, but then those people could have realized these people really don't do love. And then it was up for those people, and some of those people decided, yeah, my intuition is telling me I should move away too, you know? And sometimes if people saw other people in a relationship, they could have assumed, like, this is the person who puts in the work and effort to try to have it be just and fair and balanced and loving. And they could do their part and it contributes to it. But if one person is the person in high vibe Leo and Aries and Cancer who is the one who is more motivated and inspired by love, they were the one that was taking the action and was motivated and inspired with love. The other person might have, in some ways, maybe looked victorious and successful in the world and in a relationship with someone who was very motivated and inspired by love. So then it made them also look like they were this more motivated by love type of person. And of course, they like to view themselves that way too. But then when they go repeat an old pattern, then some other people might realize that they're not really the one who was maybe more motivated by love, but that some other people in their life might have, indulged them, and then they're looking for someone else to indulge them. And then they might find other people don't want to indulge them. And just like some of the people that were in relationship with them before, we can all kind of get caught up in the illusion and we can all put work and effort in, but, we're hoping everybody will be motivated to be inspired by love and do more equal give and take. And sometimes we find out we move forward with some people who really liked being in the relationship, enjoyed the relationship, could have been encouraging and supportive and everything, but not really authentically motivated by love and might live more from their mind than their heart. And it might be a lot more for all these other reasons of the world, ego, image, and status. And some people didn't want to stay in it anymore. And if there was some people that decided this wasn't their truth, you listened to your intuition and realized your dream couldn't come into reality with them. You gave yourself what you wish other people would have given you, and you realized you didn't miss an opportunity in love. Because you kind of could realize some of those people really don't do love anyway, or they really didn't want you to be inspired within yourself to love and believe in yourself. So then it can kind of seem like conditional love. Like if we stay here and we do this and we both stay in this kind of energy and you don't get inspired within yourself to more love and believe in yourself, we can keep staying in the relationship. But if you do that, well, then the relationship's over. It's like, well, then I guess, I have a dream. And part of that is loving and believing in myself and overcoming things that manipulate me. And we're not on the same page. So you are inspired to get out of some of those situations in your life. And you're moving forward in a very balanced, inspiring, loving way, having some type of new beginning. Working with the people in your life who do work with you and meeting new people. And if those people are kind of on that same page, moving forward with them. Moving forward with people who work together more cooperatively, inspired more by love than ego, image, indulgence, or something. What's coming up for the shadowy people they might not see coming? The Queen of Pentacles, the Page of Cups, and the Queen of Pentacles. And the reason is because of the Two of Swords. Well, we all, again, kind of have this dualistic nature within ourselves. The Queen of Pentacles in Taurus energy can talk about our philosophy of life and our truth. And the Two of Swords can talk about that, well, some people might have been unsure about what their truth was, but eventually they kind of realized they were more emotionally invested in aligning with their worldly nature, and some more of the high vibe people in their life that's not their truth in their Taurus and their Gemini and their Cancer energy. And so, the people whose truth is different, eventually kind of wish them peace, but then they move on. But the other people, they might like to view themselves, the Two of Swords, as Libra. They might like to view themselves as more just and fair and balanced. Like, I'm not more about myself. I'm not more immature. I'm not more about the world. I'm not wanting someone to indulge me in a relationship. And I don't look to want to indulge someone in a relationship because that would be a shadowy relationship. A high vibe relationship is you're not indulging each other. You're actually motivated to be in a relationship with each other because you love each other, and you treat each other the way you like to be treated. High vibe Libra. But some people, whether they're a Libra sun sign or not, some people like to keep staying in denial that they're more either codependent, want other people to be more codependent on them, or that they're more materialistic or more about themselves. Because shadowy Taurus can be like stubborn, and I live my life in a way that other people should want to live their life like me, and maybe like I'm like God in the world and I'm perfect or something, and other people should do what I do. And so, of course, they don't ever have to change because they're perfect. That could be like shadowy Leo, too. Like, oh my gosh, I'm like God in the world, male or female. Well, I think they're going to have more high vibrational people who don't want to keep investing in them. And they could kind of be confused. I don't understand. But again, some people don't want to see the truth. They could be stubborn, they could be bossy, they aren't being more authentic. It's like walking the talk and quacking like love and acting like love. But people who are authentically motivated and inspired by love, it is who they are. They freely give of themselves and are like loving and can be joyful. It doesn't mean they're ooey gooey with everyone, but the people they're in romantic relationships with, they enjoy freely giving of themselves because they know how to fill their own cup emotionally to replenish themselves. But because some people act a certain way and behave a certain way and treat people a certain way, that to them means they're loving. But that's like Taurus and kind of living more from your mind than your heart. Well, these are all the things that I've seen other people do, and I'm doing those. No, I acted like this, and then I did that, and then when this happened, I did that. But it's more like living more from the mind than the heart to, again, shadowy Leo, like putting on a show, putting on a performance. So, and that's why it can be hard for people to get out of relationships with people who are like that, because in a way it seems to have all these things that you could want in a lot of ways, except you kind of don't really feel that it's love. It's more for the ego and the image and the status and to be in the relationship for all these reasons of being in the relationship. But is it love? You had victory over people in your past. Shadowy King of Cups is people who want to wear a false mask, who look like love, act like love, so they look like loving people and move forward in relationships with loving people, and they look like they have what other people have. But the loving people don't have what they want, which is to be in a relationship with another person motivated and inspired by love. And it's kind of like the shadowy people want the loving people to keep investing in it and just stay in denial of the truth and invest in an illusion. I'm not really motivated by love, but this works for me because you are. But I'm not that. And I want you to stay in it. hopefully maybe because of all these reasons in the world, you get to be in a relationship. Don't you want to be in a relationship? Maybe a marriage, have a job. But, just for some, they're shadowier than that, right? But even if everything seems great in a way, it's like, I don't really feel like this is love. And I don't think it's ever going to become love because I don't think they will let themselves come out from behind their ego. And while they don't do that, there's other people kind of in these more mismatched relationships or kind of get inspired to work through their fear or defensiveness to love, and they free themselves from it. And then those people get in relationships together. It's kind of like trying to get mismatched puzzle pieces in relationship with people who are more on the same page as them. And what the more worldly, shadowy people don't see coming is they're going to end up in relationships with people who are more like themselves, because that's just and fair. If they're more about ego and image, they'll probably be in a relationship with people who are ego and image. If they're more about themselves or bossy or controlling, they might think it's their dream relationship and they could get someone who's much more codependent on them. Well, those people can have their own kind of shadowy nature for being kind of emotionally immature, and then it's always like trying to raise like a child who's very codependent or immature, possibly controlling, like, oh my God, you can't go anywhere. Like, oh my gosh, I just love you so much and I'd be so fearful if this relationship didn't end. And on one hand, they could have thought, oh my God, this is like a dream come true. And then it's like, oh my God, I think this person, again, it's more out of that person's fear and insecurities or want for the status or the ego or the image that they're in the relationship. I don't think they love me. And it's like, well, no, but you don't do love either. So, and for some people, it could be a dream relationship if they're more both codependent, if they both like to view themselves as these much more stable, grounded, and mature people, and that's why they get in relationships, but it's really more about the ego or the image. They might think they have a dream relationship. They just might want to stay in denial that it's not really love as the reason why they're in it. And then they want other people to stay in denial, but other people in their life who hang out with them is like, yeah, I don't really think this is love. I think it's more for all these other reasons. And then some other people might not really care to hang out with them because it does seem just more superficial and shallow. Or all about them and, oh my goodness, what a wonderful life and how much money or how much of this they did and blah blah blah. And other people are like, yeah, I think I'd rather be in relationships with people who seem to be more authentic. High vibe Leo, high vibe Aries, Cancer, Libra, Taurus, Pisces, Capricorn. High vibe Capricorn is free from the devil, more shadowy energy. And other people probably want to hang out with other people who are less shadowy. And more shadowy will hang out with more shadowy. So there you go, Cancer. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.